As US President Donald Trump seeks an end to the Russia-Ukraine war, Europe seems unprepared to take on its substantial share of the responsibility to protect Ukraine and expand its defense. Trump is starting to tell the leaders of the European Union how to end the conflict in Ukraine. However, his demands are going to test the limits of the European Union. Last week, Trump initiated peace negotiations in his discussions with his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. At the same time, the US Defense Secretary briefed his European partners that they would need to shoulder the cost of any peace deal. According to Bloomberg Economics, the big nations on the continent would likely need to spend an extra $3.1 trillion over the next decade to defend Ukraine and build up their own military. If the European Union were to make such a pledge, it would reveal divisions within the bloc the alliance has been ignoring for far too long. Some politicians and security experts warn Putin will step up his efforts to undermine and eventually dismantle the European Union and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. According to a Bloomberg report quoting two sources, European diplomats were stunned by Trump's call with Putin, as important partners were unaware of the significant diplomatic maneuver. And these sudden changes have shown just how big of a problem the Europeans are up against, and they are not prepared. Meanwhile, EU nations are debating whether to rely solely on European suppliers, who may not be prepared to provide some weapons for years, or to also collaborate with the British or purchase from the Americans. Some have argued that the group would be better off spending its money on roads instead of weaponry, and the money needed to rebuild Ukraine's military over a decade may be as high as $175 billion. Despite Zelensky's claims that even more troops will be needed, a peacekeeping force of 40,000 would cost around $30 billion. Most of the funding would be used towards strengthening the military forces of EU member states and increasing the total defense budget to around 3.5% of the GDP.